Hey there, Beechtalk old friends. This is Todd Sanderson. I just booked my reservations for the Max Grogan fly-in October, and thought, you know what? I'll set up an approach into runway 26 going into Knoxville. Now, this is the TD2 Redbird simulator. I bought this to teach my wife to fly. It's set up as a 172, a 172 RG, a 182, or a 182 RG. And this is an FAA BATD, Basic Advanced, is that what it is? Or training device, basic aviation training device, I think. I have to relook it up. I'm an instructor, I can't even remember. But anyway, you can use this for IFR proficiency. You can use it for some basic training towards your private license. I use it to practice approaches, and again, I'm teaching my wife to fly the plane on this. It's a great way to teach. But I thought, going into Knoxville in October, and I thought, you know what, I'll set up a minimum approach, 801, which is the minimums. It's a lateral approach only for the GPS RNAV approach into there. And I set it up for JISIT initial fix, and then Sprock initial, and was it SIGUG final approach, where you'd maintain 3,500, 2,500 at SIGUG, and then into Knoxville. So I thought I'd give you a demonstration of this. It's a great simulator. Works real well. It's very accurate. I also have it set up for moderate turbulence, and I have wind out of the north at 10, gusting to 15. So makes it it's not just like the airplane, obviously. And I know some of you there on Beechtalk has some really fancy simulators. I bought this for the simplicity. It's just set up, it fires up quickly, and it doesn't require any technical knowledge. I know a little bit about technology, but not real strong. A lot of you guys are real techie. So I thought I'd give that a whirl and see what you think of it. And I'll put my phone down here and I'll unpause it and see how we do here. So we're at 3,500 feet. I have the autopilot set, which simulates I believe it simulates a King 150 or a 200. I think a 150. But we're 35 seconds from JISIT initial fix. Level at 3,500. I have the throttle set at 23 inches, 2,400 RPM, which would be about 68% power in this plane. And I'll go ahead and lean it out too, just for fun. In my plane, the Turbo 182 RG, you lean for peak power, or for peak EGT. And at the power settings, you can't hurt this engine. It's a derated engine. It only turns 2,400 RPM at full RPM. So our inbound heading's going to be 260, 265 probably with the wind. I'm going to guess it's 261 inbound. I'm going to put in about 5 degrees correction for the wind. Then I'll let the autopilot fly until the final, initial to the final. So we're indicating 135 knots, flaps are up, 2,400 RPM, 23 inches of manifold pressure, peak EGT, heading to Sprock, minute and 9 seconds, and of course it even simulates, so WAS technically it's programmed as a 530 WAS, so it'll anticipate the turn, and autopilot will fly it. And I usually hand fly it. I'm just talking now. It has auto trim as well, and it has the trim nose down. Wing flaps are showing 0, and it's showing the gear up here. There's the familiar scene if you've flown into Knoxville. You're heading towards the mountains. So just anticipated the turn. Got our left needle deflection. Plane's turning to the right. It's now showing us 257 from Sigug or Sigzug or whatever. I always thought they should make the waypoints just numbers. Sometimes when controllers tell me Sprock, I'm like, Spock? Walk? What did you say? You know. So coming around 3,500 feet. And inbound, I don't have my approach plate on me, but I think I looked at it. I usually have my approach plate, of course. And I think it's 25 or 35 descending to 25 at Sigug, and then down from there. I can look it up later. Kind of interesting, if I had the ATIS plugged in here too, it would tell me what the weather is, and it'd say 801 because that's what I programmed for. So, going along here. The controls on this simulator are really nice, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to pull back the power since I'm going to be descending anyway. And I'll dial in 2,500 feet. And it'll head down 2,500. I'll bring my speed down, of course, since I'll be in the descent. About 15, 16 inches seems to do well there. So 2,500 for, or 3,500 for 25 descending. We'll see how this course looks. Needle centered. I don't think we're fully stabilized yet. And just entered the clouds. Yeah, it looks like about 264 right now, but once we slow down more, the wind will push us more. I think we'll need a little more correction. I think that 265, 266 will probably work. Crossing 3,000. Everything's in the green. And I set this up with steam gauges. I plan on converting the plane to Dynon glass, but the two ways you can have this configured is Garmin G1000 or steam gauges. I have a 530 in my plane, so I like the idea of just using steam gauges because they don't offer a diamond or a Dynon option anyway. Go back to 15 inches. Top of descent there. 45 second from Sigug. 1.5 miles. We've entered rain. I put moderate rain in too. You probably can't see it in the video, but there's rain hitting the screen. You can see some turbulence. Again, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but you can see the wings rock and your ball will deflect left and right. So, needle centered, 23 seconds, 0.7 from final approach fix. Looks like that heading's about going to work. Might even need a little more right heading once we slow down even more with the gear down, but 105 knots right now, which is about perfect to start this. So there we are. I'll go ahead and hit a notch of flaps. Gear down will give us our 500 foot per minute. I'll kill the autopilot.
Autopilot.
So autopilot off. Descending out of 2,500. Want about a 500 minute or 500 foot per minute descent. Little right needle. I'm going to give this just a couple degrees to the right here and see how that works. With the turbulence, it adds a little realism to it.
Leaving altitude.
Got an indication leaving altitude, which is what I want to do. Crossing 2,200. Something I'm not used to is watching my vacuum indicator, make sure I don't have a vacuum failure. All my planes have been glass. It's actually been kind of fun flying old steam gauges. I miss the synthetic vision though, so got a notch of flaps in, gear is down. This heading seems to be working. I got the lateral nailed. Of course, we don't have any vertical guidance with this approach. 3 miles from the runway, a minute 50 out at this pace. And we got about 90 to 95 knots varying due to the turbulence. Need a little left needle here. I'm coming down a little fast. Correct for that. The 182 is very pitch sensitive. Very similar to a Bonanza in my opinion. There's 1700. I'm starting to see the ground a little bit. Forward visibility still pretty much negative. Back on course. Get back on my heading here. So I got the lateral nailed. Got about 500 foot per minute. Crossing 1500. 1.5 miles out. Actually hitting decision height right here. Getting that turbulence in again. And I can see forward. And I have the runway now. I don't know if you can see it on the video. I have the runway, so I'll continue down. We're 0.8 of a mile out. There's that turbulence kicking again. Runways, I don't know if maybe you can see it a little better there. I'll go another notch of flaps. Got red over white. I think I see Martin Pauly there with a beer for me. I gotta, yeah, that is him. How you doing, Martin? We'll get the power off here. I'm a little fast. Got a little wind. Put it around out plenty. Came in plenty hot. We're on the ground. Apply the brakes. I'll make this taxiway here, which I don't have the resolution in real good. Flaps off, strobe lights off. Yeah, there's Martin right over there. Yeah, we'll just call this the ramp. Ramp's actually over there, but there we are. I'll go ahead and shut down the engine. Avionics, master, magnetos. I always leave the beacon on. You can hear the rain still pounding. And that's Knoxville. From here, me and my wife are going to get out. We're going to go to the downtown brewery, have a beer with the gang. Then we're going to hit Chesapeake's, have a good lunch the next day, and then come home. Stay at the Hilton, Knoxville Hilton. So there you are. Good to see y'all again.